Welcome to Developing the Leader Within podcast, the podcast that brings you leadership insights from the brightest minds shaping our world. Join us as we dive into conversation with trailblazers, innovators, and change makers, spanning every corner of the globe. Get ready to explore new perspectives, gain actionable insights, and become the leader the world needs today. Unleash your potential. Tune into Developing the Leader Within podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Let's embark on this transformative journey together. Developing the Leader Within podcast, leading beyond limits.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. Today, we are speaking with America Baez. America is the owner of America Baez Consulting. She is a renowned transformative DEI and global talent acquisition executive, an award-winning industry thought leader, employer brand consultant to Fortune 500 clients, and a newly John Maxwell coach, trainer, and speaker, and the author of Courage, 12 Best Practices to Advance Your Career. America, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I was looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, and so am I. Because, folks, we are going to be speaking about talent diversity, the key to attracting Hispanic, Latino workers. And I am so excited to be getting into that. But before we do, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, well, thank you for the kind introduction. That included a lot of, what my background. Lately, I been involved with writing books, so I became an author, and now I've been promoting the book, Courage, 12 Best Practices to Advance Your Career. In fact, here it is. I have a long career in talent acquisition, talent attraction, leading global talent acquisition strategies and programs for Fortune 500 companies. And lately, I recently obtained my John Maxwell certification on leadership and coaching. So very excited to work in this space with colleagues like you that love the professional development, personal development, advancing and elevating others, but especially elevating the Latino talent.
Absolutely. And congratulations to you for joining the JMT family. We're so happy to have you.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were talking about talent acquisition, I wanted to start off with what strategies have proven most effective in attracting Hispanic Latino talent, and how can companies ensure these strategies are culturally relevant and inclusive?
Well, companies need to think beyond what they have done, for the last 20 years or 15 years. Really, the things have changed dramatically, and especially when it comes to diverse talent and Latino talent, we all need to be to do more outreach to other communities and to other universities, not usually, the typical universities that every company goes to. I think they're missing out a lot of great talent. And what I suggest is really partnering with other universities, even local or regional universities, where companies could work with the university to develop a curriculum that is, that could help the company hire the talent that they need, and tweak the curriculum according to their needs. If they're in technology, if they're in manufacturing, they could add some of those classes or courses, and also get for instance, their engineering teams involved. And I've seen that make a big difference when it comes to brand recognition. The students or professionals associate the company with or get to know more about the company and those engineering teams, and get to know people, and it's more of when they think about employment, it's one that they would think of. And some companies have established those kind of partnerships with different universities or organizations, and that has been successful in my experience.
And it's important to note that these relationships have to be cultivated. You have to be strategic in how you develop these because the pipeline is there for a robust workforce, but you have to think about these things. So thank you for bringing that up. It's so important to understand that you have to also look for the talent. You can't just expect the talent to come to you as an organization. So
Right.
as we're talking about that, some people have a great time getting that type of talent, but then some people will struggle. So what are some common misconceptions or barriers in recruiting Hispanic Latino workers? And how can companies address and overcome these challenges?
Yes. Well, a typical misconception is that they're not going to have qualified, or they're not going to find qualified talent, Latino talent out there. And however, there is a lot of qualified people out there. We, again, companies just need to be more open and really get involved with the community to learn about the nuances around the Latino community in general, and more specifically about the talent, and among Hispanics, a huge number are going to college nowadays. Also, females going to college. A lot of people graduating, but it's also beyond college and university. Other companies that have been successfully in reaching out other talent are those that have created programs like apprenticeships, uh, internships, or project-based programs that they're trying to tap into the non-traditional, employee. Um, Also, for instance, programs to support moms returning to the workforce. Those are programs that really support the employee or the candidate, in their transition into the company, and also to gain those skills that the company needs, especially, with technology. Things change all the time, and technology impacts everything and everyone. So there are a lot of new things uh, all the time. So these new candidates or non-traditional candidates need to be taught those skills, and they're eager to learn. So we need to tap into those talent pools.
Yeah, absolutely. As technology increases, just like you said, it's exponential daily, right?
Yes.
What was great yesterday, today may be out of date. And I see that all the time in my iPad. They're
Yeah.
always asking for an update. But, that looking for talent in the Latino Hispanic community sometimes faces some obstacles because of the language diversity. So, how important is language diversity in the workplace for attracting that Hispanic Latino talent? And what steps can employers take to create a linguistically inclusive environment?
Absolutely. Well, there are a lot of companies that do have bilingual employees, not only in Spanish but other languages as well. So they have to learn to implement um, programs, training and coaching programs for those employees in other languages, and that's going to facilitate, the employee experience there. It's going to motivate them to either, to apply to those kind of companies, or to stay, in those companies, to continue working. And really, it can also attract a totally different talent pool of those folks that might still be learning English. But if they see a company implementing programs in other languages, that would open up the talent pool for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, if you're a company, understand number one, the complement that you have and how better to use that strength, because that's what it is, in order to reach out and find some further talent. And I do know that I gravitate to companies or organizations that have taken the time to have some of their literature translated into Spanish, because it kind of tells me, hey, they're interested in not just, one language. They're interested in appealing to more than what they have, and it does show a good effort on their part to be more inclusive. Now,
Right.
there are companies that do great, and there's companies that don't do too great in terms of the Latino Hispanic talent pool. But can you share maybe an example of a company that excelled in attracting and retaining Hispanic Latino employees? And what lessons can we learn from those examples?
Ooh, well, it's hard to tell, hard to pick one because while some companies are doing great in some areas, then there may be other areas that still need work, right? A lot of folks focus on having more diverse representation and hiring. However, that some might miss the fact that all that diverse uh, talent pool or diverse employees that they're hiring, that they also need to be developed internally and promoted. So I wouldn't want to name one in particular because I believe most companies still have a long way to go. But definitely the ones that are more committed to working with the Latino community that you see, uh, at multiple events and multiple conferences, really the companies that have more presence in the community, and it's not just companies that may attend, an annual conference and that's it. You don't see them again until the following year. Uh, Really what has made a difference for some of those companies, including some of those that I have worked with in the past, is when you maintain the presence, when you are engaged with those organizations, Hispanic organizations throughout the year, and you can the companies may bring speakers to certain events or conferences, they may bring their employees to network with the community, and so that the community and candidates get to meet people, get to know what they do, and learn more about the company and the opportunities there. Again, I think it's more about the commitment and engagement, rather than just saying or making pledges that we're gonna work, or the company's gonna do all these things and then they don't follow through.
Yeah, and that's typically one of the struggles that follow through, is where companies typically find that, that mountain. And we appreciate all those that are doing an effort to continue to do that. Now, we focused on organizations and companies, but now let's talk about the Latino Hispanic worker. What would you give as an advice to a Latino Hispanic worker going into the workforce now? How should they be positioning themselves in order to be that type of talent that these companies are looking for?
Yes, and that's precisely what I talk about in my book. It's again, courage, 12 best practices to advance your career. With my background in human resources, working for Fortune 100 companies, I wanted to share my insight working in human resources and HR and diversity, and share how, with the talent pool, especially Latinos, what they need to do to position themselves for success. Um, things that we have to think about are, courage, having faith, believing in yourself, having grit, taking calculated risks, um, networking, uh, attending different events where you can get to network with other folks, and most importantly, being open to all those things, because what used to work 10, 15 years ago no longer works. The workplace has changed, with COVID, after COVID, also with all the racial issues going on. uh, we all need to be more proactive in being prepared, and in preparing ourselves, and positioning ourselves for the next opportunity. There are also, the reality is, there are a lot of layoffs, and things happening with the economy, and in the impacting the workplace, and that impacts the workforce and the Latino workforce. So Latinos need to be proactive, and prepare be prepared with their resume, and sharpen up their interviewing skills, continue to network, because you never know when those things or issues may happen to you. Um, this should be top of mind for everyone, not only if you're a student, but also if you're a professional. And for every parent out there, this is the reality. Everyone needs to be out there. Everybody needs to be aware that this is the situation, out in the workplace, and we all need to encourage the Latino community at all levels, to continue preparing themselves for the next opportunity, or whether it is with a degree, or not necessarily a degree, perhaps a certification, since some companies no longer require a degree, um, which is good. So just pursue different things, or different avenues, to continue to learn and develop, and again, be prepared with your resume, and keep up with what's going on in the economy and in the business world, because that's going to impact your workplace.
Yeah, definitely. And it has been said preparation meets opportunity. And you could never be too prepared, but you can definitely be underprepared. And we've seen that a
Yeah,
whole lot, especially as you're coming through those interviews at work sites, at organizations. You tend to wonder sometimes, how did this person get here? But it is because they did not take enough time to get ready for those events. Now,
right.
as we're getting into this mode of preparation, there's a lot that we actually do, and I'm sure there's a lot that you've been doing. So, what do you have coming up that people listening or viewing can participate in? Or how can they get a hold of you if they wanted more insight into your book? And you can talk a little bit about that, or having you speak and train for them.
I do speaking engagements, and training and coaching in the areas of how to attract and hire Latino talent, how to develop Latino talent, also, in terms of how to make more, the workplace more inclusive. And for also, for instance, I had a speaking engagement with AT&T, and I'm coordinating one with Accenture in the next few months, and is to talk about, again, how to position yourself for success, how to navigate within the company or organization, whether it is a corporation or a nonprofit organization, and how to network, how to be assertive, and how to learn to, again, to network. But it's easy to say to network. A lot of people may not even feel comfortable with that, but so it's a lot of those steps that you need to take And I talk about that in my speaking engagements with companies, with universities, also about leadership in general and how we all need to speak more on behalf of the Latino community. And I have my website, which is americabaez.com. And I have all my information listed there if you want to reach out, and or you can also find me on LinkedIn.
Outstanding. And folks, we'll have that information as part of the video and the show notes for you can get a hold of America and all that she is doing. Thank you so much for sharing this time and the purpose of getting Latinos ready, Hispanics ready for the workforce. Folks, I want to remind everybody that today's episode is sponsored by Fantail Services and Superpass, which are powering our website and app, Southern Sweet and Sassy Coffee, and the Outlier Project and Duco. If you've enjoyed this episode and learned something interesting about the topic covered today, make sure to subscribe and let us know by leaving a comment. And we're always looking for new ideas and guests that we can add to the show. So if you know someone or have a topic that you would like featured on the podcast, please let us know by leaving an email at triadleadershipsolutions@gmail.com. And this podcast is brought to you by StreamYard, a browser based tool that lets you live stream to any platform and record podcasts in studio quality. And we're using it to record this podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode where we dissect leadership from another angle. And as we like to end the show, success to you.
Thank you, Enrique.